Good afternoon, Cigar View 71, La Gran Llave by AJ Fernandez. Fast facts, we got a 7-inch 50 ring gauge Churchill size cigar here, of course made by AJ Fernandez in Nicaragua. This was a brand, La Gran Llave, that was formed, I think, 2016. They, I think, kind of quickly realized that, hey, we got a good thing going on here. And from what it sounds like from Cigar Aficionado, they essentially sold out to AJ Fernandez, which would not make them unique in that industry. I admit I was heavily biased against the cigar at first before I lit it for two reasons. One, I don't really care for AJ Fernandez. Although I've never met the man, I'm sure he's charming. But the main reason was, even after a perfectly clean cut, it immediately started to just fall apart at the top, which is something that really I just don't ever get in higher end cigars, especially at this price point. This is a $8 to $10 cigar, depending on where you got it from. I think Cigars International, they're probably in the $8 to $9 range. At a local tobacconist, especially somewhere, they'd be 11, 12 bucks. For that price, your cigar better not fall apart, but this one does. However, I actually do like it. I do try to stay completely unbiased in my reviews. And its one fault is that, it fell apart a little bit at the top. And I'll talk about that again in a minute. But I like it. It's got some nice notes. I get some weird things in this one. I get, bear with me, I get tennis balls. Cigars have a million weird flavor, and I get the kind of rubbery new tennis ball smell, which I don't think is a bad thing at all. Some dough, some yeast, kind of basically bread, a little bit of cedar. Some people were saying you were getting chocolate, but I don't get that at all. I do think that's kind of a go-to if you don't have anything else about a cigar, but I certainly don't pick it up. So from a taste perspective, it's good. It's not something that's knocking it out of the park, but it's got some good taste. It's an above average cigar. It's burning well. The thing I really like about it, effortless draw, tons of smoke, right? When I'm smoking a cigar, what I'm really doing is de-stressing and being lazy. So the last thing that I want is to have to fight the cigar, either from a drawing perspective or trying to fix it burning unevenly. I don't have to do either of those things with a cigar. It's, I honestly, some people are calling it light-bodied. I call it medium-bodied, which might be the first time, or medium strength rather, which might be the first time I've ever put one above what people said it is. Normally people say cigars are strong and full-bodied, and they're not. This one I think is actually probably medium-bodied, in my opinion, at least how I feel from it. And again, I got tennis balls and chlorine on the retrohale, which I got the other day, so maybe that's just something that's burned into my brain, but I do like the cigar. The one thing that I would say about it that's kind of a pointer in general is, I cut it was a good cut, but it started to kind of unravel at the top. So we had the very outer wrapper start to come off. Here's what you should do if that happens. Gently tear it off. Right, the worst thing that you can do is just leave that wrapper on there, because what's going to happen is you're going to end up tearing it all the way around and tearing it completely off. Right? If I had a scab on my skin, I wouldn't just leave it and let it shred my whole hand. Right? I'd gently remove that part. I would treat the cigar the same way. I would just remove the part that looked like it was going to fall off. And at that point, the binder is actually keeping it in pretty good shape. And I'm going to be able to smoke the rest of this thing without having any more problems, as long as I don't really chew on the end of it. Would I recommend this? When people talk about, I smoke on the golf course. Well, I don't golf, but if I did, this would actually be a pretty good cigar for it. It's easy to smoke, draws really well, and it's got enough kick where I know I'm smoking a cigar, but it's not going to overwhelm me. So I actually do think this would be a really good golf course cigar. My problem with it is the price point. That Henry Clay that I reviewed on probably review 67, 68 knocks this out of the park. It's a much better cigar, and it's probably in the $7, $8 price range as opposed to the 9 to 10. But I wouldn't want to smoke that one in the hot sun. This one I would be okay with doing that. So overall, I really do like the cigar. I think it's great. and I would certainly go with a buy rating, just knowing that the value maybe isn't quite there from my perspective, but it's good nonetheless. So that's Cigar Review 71, the Gran Llave. One last note, how do we pronounce that? It's not Lave. Someone on a professional video said Lave. In Spanish, the double L, me llamo. Yeah, it makes that noise. It's not la. So there we go. That's it. Review 71, the Gran Llave.